looking for respect nationwide.
What is going on, Sooner Nation? Thank you all for tuning into another episode of the Barry and Mac Show. As always, myself, Barry, personal trainer, sports performance coach out of Tulsa, Oklahoma. And alongside me, former Sooner wide receiver, 2000 national champ, Mr. Damian Mackey. How are we doing tonight, D-Mac?
What's up, B? Doing well. Looking at my top 10 RBs, making sure I put some respect on everybody from the Switzer era to today. But I'm good, locked in. Obviously, we had the big scrimmage today. I didn't get a chance to see it, but I heard a lot of really good intel firsthand and just kind of perusing the boards and stuff. Sounds like the guys play well. Looking forward to having a strong summer. Looking forward to some of the guys that we think are emerging, taking care of business. Obviously, having Heineke back in the fold is a really good thing. I think we set up to have a very successful season. Stay healthy, stay locked in. Let's go ball out.
Absolutely, man. And we're going to talk about the spring game. We'll actually open with that today. I'm sure that's what's on everybody's mind. But then we are also going to go into some off-season stuff, man. Some top 10 running backs in OU lore. Man, anytime you go top 10s, top 5s, you're talking position group, especially at a position so loaded for Oklahoma, like running back. I started going through this to put mine together. And sure, you could do like a Stoops era. You could do like, since 1990. But, man, you start going back to like since 75, since 73. You start thinking of names like Greg Pruitt. Right, thinking of names like obviously Billy Sims, guys like a Buster Rhymes, right? Guys who are throwbacks of that day who maybe don't get the respect now. But to kick off everything, we are going to talk a little spring scrimmage. As me and you discussed before the show, it was not a live, big, massive broadcast. It was kept very in-house. And, not that that's, advantage, disadvantage. At the end of the day, it's a scrimmage. You try to have as much good live football as you can. But as you've talked about on the show, a lot of that stuff is done behind closed doors in the closed practice fields. You're not getting anything of true value today. They're not going to, trot out any exotic personnel packages. You're not going to see how they're going to try to target defenses with certain players. You're going to see some very vanilla stuff. And that's what we'll kind of start. I went back and kind of, Zapruder filmed myself through the highlights, of different streams that posted different things. And I think the number one thing, maybe two things that I saw was one, Danny Okoye looks, and we talked about this last show, looks like a guy who's going to have a real impact this year. He is finally in his man body, as we kind of said pre-show, that it has come to fruition what Oklahoma wants him to be, and we saw glimpses of that a year ago. And then the other piece is, take it for what it's worth. John Mateer, he ran the drills today for the Sooners. He ran the rep. And granted, it is a very controlled rep in a blue jersey with no risk of taking any serious hits. But the mechanics, D-Mac, looked pretty solid. They looked pretty good. What can you take away from that?
I'll reserve judgment until August. So, I'm not impressed. I haven't seen any. The one picture I saw was a still frame. Looked like he was gearing up to throw like an intermediate to deep pass. It looked like there was room for sidearm. So we'll see.
There you go.
I don't know. I didn't see it. So because I didn't see it, I'm not going to critique him hardcore. We said it last call or last episode. He's got to show up the end. Like I don't want to put an ellipse at it. I don't want to put a question mark. I don't want there to be any type of Question. He's the El Capitan. He's the highest invested player. He's the guy who's been in this offense the longest, and I believe in him, right? And although I am putting a lot of expectation on him, it's not as if I'm saying it from a lens of I don't believe in him. I believe in him. He just needs to produce, and so no pressure, or like we said last time, it is pressure, but we are accustomed to our quarterbacks who understand that they are the catalyst, that they 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 wield that pressure and they use it as a catalyst. And so Baker did it, Murray did it, Hurts had to do it, Caleb did it as a freshman. Caleb did it as a freshman.
Yeah.
And so Mateer's got a stacked team, guys. I think Mateer has the most complete team we have had in 15 years. I'm talking about since the Sammy B era. I don't know that we've had a more complete team, both sides of the ball, preseason, offensive and defensive line with continuity and top shelf talent, right? You go back to the Sammy days. I mean, you're talking about Trent Williams and some of those boys where the offensive line was consistently sending first round draft picks to the league. And then, just a little bit before that, you're talking about those D lines where we had Beal and I mean, a lot of really serviceable and really those defensive lines are probably not as good as the defensive line of the last couple of years that we've had
Yeah.
here. Again, backers I think are up to snuff. Kip and Heine, obviously Heine being back plus Sullivan. No glaring weaknesses here, right? Our last call, I keep saying that because I do training calls.
Yeah.
But
Who cares?
our last episode, a lot of people, I was like, hey guys, tell me the position group where we lack depth or where there's holes. And people were saying if Heine doesn't come back, he's back. So we've got three to play two plus a young stud, and that's how you want your pipeline to be, right? It's set up for the backup position to be a big plus. Obviously, the offensive line has to ascend, but you got 3 second-year starters. We all know the ascension happens between year 1 and year 2, and these are top flight guys. I'm talking about Foj, I'm talking about Fasusi, I'm talking about ELP, and you got a 4th-year center. I think this is 4th year college to 2nd year starting.
Playing college football, yeah.
Yes, I think it's his 3rd year with us. I think this is his 3rd season with us. Like, dude, we got to go out there and get her done. Quarterback's got to be the catalyst. Let's go win some football games.
Absolutely, man. I will say one of the things that stood out in this one, and as you guys are jumping in the live chat, feel free to drop some of your thoughts, your notes. For the first time in 5-6 years, at least since maybe the COVID year when OU got Ramondre back late, you had Kennedy Brooks come back that next year. The running back room, DMAC, has some players. And I think the thing that was the most alarming, and I do want to maybe get you to throw a wet blanket on this a little bit, but I will say this, just from an eye test standpoint, and I've watched a lot of spring games, a lot of spring football. The running back position is a position where you can at least gleam a little bit because you still got to hit the hole with velocity, patience, and none of that changes, right? The D-line isn't playing half speed. The O-line isn't playing, half speed. But again, there's still the intensity level isn't quite there. But what I saw was a lot of players who do not get tackled on first contact today. Avant, number 9 for Oklahoma, who we talked about last pod, looked good. And they got a guy who not a lot of people talked about, Dezevin Walker. I think he ended up with 81 total yards on the day. Guys, correct me if I'm wrong. But he is one of the most explosive backs in terms of kind of that 2nd to 3rd and 4th gear that I've seen. I'd like to see him in situations have to really bear down on that top end speed, but man, him getting through the trash, he feels very similar to, like an Alan Patrick, a guy who just kind of moves and cycles those feet just really fast. And then he's picked up 10, 12 yards before you even realize it. He looked, phenomenal. I'm incredibly impressed by him. And then obviously we know that we have some players in Blaylock who are just out right now. Xavier Robinson, I think the room has improved. I think there are some players in that room who are going to level up that bottom depth. I don't see a Javante Barnes who can't get out of his feet, who can't keep his balance on a cut. I see guys who cut fast. That's just might be the most important thing for a back, is like, how quickly do you get in and out of cuts? How sharp and tight can you cut off that angle? How much can you get a guy to overextend? So the running back room to me, D-Mac, looks good. What you think?
My mom always told me, if you don't have nothing good to say, don't say nothing at all. And as it pertains to the old coach, I don't have a lot of good stuff to say. OU alum, and he's on my top 10 list. He's on my list that I'm going to share with you guys later. I don't think he was a very good coach for us. And so I think addition by subtraction. And by the way, I know this doesn't win me favor in alumni circles. I know this might be the type of thing that gives people second guessing me having access to things that, listen, I get access when I'm in town, but who knows, right? I know they listen to our pod. I don't care. I'm telling the truth. I think DeMarco is overrated. Someone asked me if he's going to do well in the NFL. I do think he's going to do well because he's in a place where is he? He's in Kansas City, I believe.
Yeah.
Andy Reid ain't going to let that show not go well. Eric Bieniemy's back too, so they got another running back in the building who's the OC. But as it pertains to OU, I didn't like his recruiting in terms of accolades, respect. But there wasn't one running back that when they got here, I was like, that's a dude. And I know Hatton committed to him. So I think we gotta, or actually maybe he didn't. I think Hatton saw another kid come to A&M, and when that kid came to A&M, he opened up his recruiting and came back to us. So maybe that wasn't a DeMarco deal. Point is, I am not going to be surprised. If I had a magic crystal ball right now, Barry, I'm going to say this. All of a sudden, the running back's going to look good. And I don't even know McCullough in the sense of like his style. I know he kicked ass at Notre Dame. I know he kicked ass in the NFL. And I know he's got dudes that, Love is his baby. And he had another kid 2 years ago that went to the league that's doing really well. I just have the sneaking suspicion before I even do a deep dive that the running back position, all of a sudden, the offensive line is not going to be as terrible at run blocking. Also understanding that they've increased their talent and have continuity and done well. I heard some of the stuff with the running backs. I heard the Walker kid. What's that? How do you say his name?
Dezephen. Dezephen.
The rumor is dude he looks like it. Right.
Yeah. Who wasn't a hugely ballyhooed, guy.
Correct. I just look at the stable of backs. Blaylock has a style, physical, one cut, good vision. Blaylock has good vision. Then you got Extra Rob, where on any given day he can be the best running back, and then on any given day he's hurt in the first quarter. But we've backed those guys up with a Hatton, with a Walker, and an Avant. And then we've got a different mixture of coaching, talking to those guys, mentoring those guys, challenging them, edifying them. I think the offensive run game is going to be dramatically improved, and we're going to tangibly be able to say they just look better. That's my opinion.
We talked about it, and we always have strived ourselves into not being just insanely like overly critical for the sake of clicks. We're both guys who I coach and I work with the athletes. You're a guy who was a high level D1 college athlete at a program like Oklahoma. The level of effort and intensity that it takes to get that job done. So you handle things with a bit of mutual respect kind of for what it takes, right? So we don't necessarily throw that stuff out there. But when it came to Murray, just from me looking at it from a coaching perspective, there were too many players that within the program regressed, that just couldn't do certain things. And we won't beat that dead horse tonight, but sometimes you got to just let athletes be athletes and see what it is that they do well. And then you kind of marry that with philosophy and packages and styles of running that accentuate their abilities. And that's what you see, right? I think DeZeffin, the Walker, I think he's going to be a great pass catcher. I think a weapon out of the backfield like that, who OU really has not had, right? X Rob dropped the ball, right? We
Yeah.
haven't had a guy like that since, what, maybe Rodney Anderson was a guy pulling down big passes like that. Was he the last one? So that's huge for an offense like Arbuckle's that kind of is a disciple or of that lineage of spread that likes to get the running backs the ball in space. And you see how critical that's been ever since teams like Kansas City don't have a Tyreek Hill, right? But you take players like that who you can Swiss Army knife and throw the ball to, add an extra receiver, just forces defenses to play you differently. Defensively, kind of to go over that real quick, Peyton Bowen seems like the leader. For those of you who maybe haven't heard, Okoye was asked about another leader on the team, Heineke, and coming back. And I can't remember who asked him in the post-game presser, but they asked him, how do you feel about Owen Heineke being back? And Okoye's quote was, "Daddy's home." So if that doesn't tell you that a guy like Okoye, who is not just throwing out quotes like that for nothing, like I've known the guy up close to some degree, and he is not a guy who just throws out
Yeah,
things like that.
ain't calling none of my teammates daddy, bro.
Yeah, like
hype T Marshall like the generals, but yeah, we ain't calling
yeah,
daddy, bro.
yeah. So different era, is what it is. But just good to hear that OU has leaders on the team who are highly respected. That you got Wine and Okoye. You got some players up front in the middle, like a Jackson and a Stone. The team, as you said, is the most filled out from top to bottom with NFL talent than it has been in probably 7 or 8 years. Maybe 2017 was the last time.
I think no, that's offensive heavy. Hell no.
Sure.
2017's
Okay.
defense was
Fair.
trash. Offense, defense, O line, D line. That's the huge difference. We've had really strong O lines and a shitty D line. And then we've had a couple teams where we've had, like the last couple of years, the D line was dramatically improved with a shell of itself O line. Both lines, skill positions, back sevens. This team had, like, this is a 10-win team.
Yeah.
If we didn't have the hardest schedule in America, we'd be top 3. And most people would say we could potentially go undefeated. We just have one of the toughest schedules in America. So we got to play ball.
Yeah, this team they're stacked talent-wise with a group that if you had them in the new school Big 12, this is a team that should easily like plow through a conference like that. So again, we said it. This is Venable's 5th year. It's nut cutting time. If you don't get it done with at least 9 wins, is that what they got to get again this year for Venables to be safe, or is it got to be a 10? Do they have to match what they did a year ago? QB coming back, defense.
I think it's playoffs, bro.
Yeah.
I mean, unless
just
there's some
playoffs.
injuries, I think we got to make the playoffs or like get a snub because of some crazy thing. But we got to win the games. I don't know that we can afford to lose a game we're not supposed to win. And that includes like an Ole Miss, an A&M. With all due respect to those schools, somebody said even for, I don't know, Sooner Cowboys. No. Our talent, we can't regress and have improved in every position and then retained our quarterback. No, I absolutely don't believe that. If you're saying that's what you think we'll do, I respect that because our schedule is a monster. But I don't think optically that's where this team is aiming to be. I don't want to put a number on it because you know me, I don't pick L's. But we got to be in the playoff mix all year. We got to figure out how to beat Texas. We can't let Texas beat us 3 times in a row. They beat us 3 out of 4.
Yeah.
They beat us 3 out of 4. We've got to make sure those boys know. And as much fun as we made of their quarterback, he's probably the best quarterback in America. The kid improved. The second half of last year, he got way better. Yeah. But pressure on us. Listen, it's team pressure. Yeah, it's team pressure. But the quarterback's got to be a catalyst this year. Period. He was a catalyst against Michigan second half of the year. He was a guy who we had to cross our fingers and hope he didn't hurt us. So we'll see how things go.
Yeah, I think it's going to be the story of the season. What Mateer does. He's either going to be, regress to what he was a year ago, or it's going to be a good season for Oklahoma. I don't see a lot of fanfare if it's an in between. That for OU to have success, he's going to have to be the best version of himself, and the talent is around him to get it done. So that's what it's going to be. I wish we would have maybe had more to glean from this spring game. With some little bit better access, some non-field level stuff. Everything I saw, it was real tough because everything was like field level video that I saw. You had nothing from the press box, nothing from high up to be able to see. It was all the local guys
Go up.
getting video on the side. Yeah, the up close kind of scene setter video, but still some things out of that that are exciting. Some things that I think fans could look forward to. But one of the things that they can look forward to tonight, DMAC, is we're gonna have a little bit of fun. We're gonna let the off season, and hopefully get some fire comments in the YouTube streams and some interesting chats. We're gonna go top 10 running backs since the Switzer era, and I know there was a little bit of confusion when we posted this on X. People are like, since Switzer. When we say since Switzer, since the higher date of Coach Switzer,
Switzer's boys on. There you
Switzer's boys on. This is the crew. This is the group, and we're probably going to be a little modern era heavy. We'll see. I'm curious to see your list. I think mine is probably a good 50-50 split of kind of the modern, a few guys there kind of in between. Some honorable mentions, and let's do that first. Before, I don't want to dig into the list, but there was so many backs to pick from when you start making a top 10 list that obviously everybody thinks of the ADs, the Billy Sims, the Greg Pruitts, the Joe Washingtons, DeMarco Murray's, like all of those.
Bro, you taking out half the list.
Hold on. We'll see.
You doing
but like
the list, bro. What
we
are you
will.
doing? I got something you don't expect on mine though.
Okay. I just think it's interesting the amount of guys who are fringe, but we're still so productive. And maybe we got a few of those on the list. Maybe they made the 10 range, but OU has just been so stacked at that position that it's going to be fun. So I'll get it kicked off. I want to hear your 10, and then we'll kind of go snake style on this thing all the way up. But at 10, this was actually a lot of thought going into this one. I went back and forth with a few guys, but my number 10 is going to be Kennedy Brooks. I wanted to put him higher because I'm a huge Kennedy Brooks fan. I was a fan when he was at OU. I think if you take Kennedy Brooks away from like the 18, 19, 20, 21 Sooners, I think you have a lot different record on those teams. I think Kennedy Brooks was really impactful during the kind of the meat of the Lincoln Riley era. I think he was, really the engine that kind of moved the 2021 Sooners. He was a guy who, doesn't get highly respected now, but when you look back, was extremely productive. Multiple seasons over 1,000 yards. Was always reliable, was a walking first down. Literally, I saw somebody post on X, literally looked like he was walking and picking up first downs. But to me, he starts the list off at number 10. DMAC, who you got?
He didn't make my 10. I like it. My 10, believe it or not, and he snuck in through the back door. He snuck in through the back door because he's from the Bay Area. I'm a little biased, but he was our utility, everything running back / receiver / slot guy, and he made some big time plays in some big time games. But he was, by the end of their careers, the clear number 2. My number 10 is Joe Mixon.
Wow. Okay. Interesting. Joe Mixon. And what's funny is, had he not had the horrible situation sort of derailed his early part of his career, had he actually had a chance to maybe play on that 14 team and get, some more touches, maybe that team is a little bit better. right? With not just relying on P. Ryan so heavily, but also he's able to stack up some numbers for those career totals,
Somebody
right?
said right cross mixing.
So yeah, to me that's great. Joe Mixon may or may not have also made my list. DMAC,
Can I say
go.
something?
Yeah, go ahead.
You made your list. He doesn't deserve it, and I got to hear your others. I looked at
Sure.
like Kennedy didn't make my list because he wasn't explosive and because he was a lot of years platooned with Sermon and Anderson. Though he wasn't a stable of backs most of his time. Which, by the way, I was looking at his stats and his yards per carry. He also wasn't. It's crazy. He broke a ton of long runs. He really did. Like Kennedy
Tons.
Brooks has some 40, 50, 60, 70 yarders where he's like, no one's catching this guy. Obviously, the infamous Texas run. Didn't make my 10. There's better backs at OU. There's better backs. So
All right.
love them to death.
Give me a number 9. Who's
Number
coming in at 9?
Number 9 is a player that honestly I didn't even know about him till Jay Hunt told me about him. And Oklahoma boy, he would have been in the top 2 or 3 had he not got injured. You may know where I'm headed with this one, but I got a chance to watch Mike Gaddis film.
Oh wow.
You got to put some respect on him, man.
Yeah.
And by the way, his stats line up. When you talk about what he was able to do versus his contemporaries, versus his peers, 2,500 yards, 6.3 yards a carry. A guy who, again, only had a year and a half of productivity where he was really pre-injury himself. Gaddis is a dude, man. Go watch the film. He had the ceiling to really be up there with the Billies and the Pruitts and the ADs. And so I want to pay homage to him. Plus, during an era where OU, Gaddis plays in 88 after the championships, right? So he's not a guy on those championship caliber rosters, but a dude nonetheless. Sign me up. Mike Gaddis, my number 9.
Man, I like it. I actually came across his name putting this list together. My number 9, a little later on. DMAC, he was kind of the last star before Stoops arrived at the running back spot. My number 9, I'm going Damon Parker. So if you really start to think about his impact on those teams, right? 4,000 career rushing yards, right? He was a guy who single-handedly won the lone Texas game of that kind of back half of the 90s, right? 5 yards per carry every time he touched the ball on teams that were not loaded with talent. Like you saw it kind of firsthand when you first arrived at OU.
I was there. I was there.
So teams that weren't exactly loaded, man, and he made them better in different spots. He gave fans something to see. When you actually start looking at the numbers and stacking him up against other backs, his numbers they stand up. Right, that they stand up to some of the other guys. Had you had him on a Stoops team, there's no telling 99. What level. 99, right? Because he left as a junior, right? He went out as. I probably would have left too. I've been a junior on some of those teams. So left as a junior. If he's a senior on that 99 team, how does that change history, DMAC?
You don't want to know. You want to know the domino effect?
What is it?
The domino effect, and those who know, people talk about it sometimes on the message board. If DP is on the 99 team, not only do we win a couple more games, Quentin Griffin does not have to burn a red shirt, which means Quentin Griffin's on the 03 team. Now we're talking about that's truly one of the best teams in OU history. If Quentin Griffin's on that team with Jay White, Mark Clayton, Mark Bradley, Brandon Jones, Will Peoples, Jawan Rankins, Travis Wilson, and that offensive line, and by the way, Adrian Peterson. Oh no, the 03 teams before Eddie comes. That's that would have been,
but yeah, the 03 was a miss.
Quentin Griffin on that team, because that was the prolific offense with the prolific O-line, prolific everything, and no diss to Keywan and Ronaldo. But neither of those guys are going to be on this top 10 list. Quentin Griffin's on my list. ahead of Mike Gaddis and ahead of Joe Mixon. So what does that team look like if Quentin Griffin's on that team?
Yeah, none of those guys, they didn't make the list. They were guys I thought about, right? A Ronaldo Works, a key one. I saw him on some people's lists, but man, when you're going top 10 and when you got 50 years to cover, right, and you start really getting into the names, it you got to be able to put up or shut up. With the numbers, you had to be an explosive, impactful player. And Ronaldo, Kiwan, they had moments, but to me, that they don't make a list like this. So I went number 9, D-Mac, number 8. Who you got?
My number 8 is DP. I got DP
Okay.
at number 8. If DP's a guy who was the first to have back-to-back 1,000-yard receiver, back-to-back 1,000-yard season in OU history. He would have been the first to go over 4,000 yards had he played in terms of rushing yards, not total scrimmage yards. I saw the guy. He was just different. Head and shoulders are better than everybody else on that team. When I was there in '98, I think I told you the story when I was getting recruited in '97. I got invited to a Oklahoma versus Cal game in Berkeley. Didn't know who I didn't know Oklahoma from Iowa back then. And I'm like, who the hell is this DP guy? Or Damon Parker? He showed out in that game. Obviously, the Texas game in '97, he won the game for us. The Texas game in '98, go watch that game. He has over 100 yards called back on phantom penalties, and he still has a 100-yard day. The game we lose to Ricky Williams and McGarity and Applewhite and all those guys. DP's a guy who just happened to be on the wrong teams with the wrong leadership. If DP stays his senior year, man, what does that team look like? We had a good stable of running backs. We just didn't have a guy. And obviously Quentin came in after Missouri or during the Missouri game and then kind of took the position by the horns as a true freshman. But if we have DP also really helps himself because he would have got a chance to catch a lot of balls. And a lot of the knocks on DP is that he didn't really know. They didn't know if he had good hands. He would have caught 30, 40 balls just by virtue of Leach's offense, which would have been a huge addition for him, And, there were some rumors when he was coming out that he had some off the field stuff. Yeah, I didn't really get into that, but I think it would have given him another year removed from that as well, where image wise, it would have just given him another year of, being in a new regime, playing well. I think DP's a first round talent. I think he went in the 4th round, played for the Packers a couple of years. He had a couple of games where he had some big time games in the league. DP and DP's a good friend. Somebody's asking why I'm making or having I don't have a personal issue with DeMarco. He wasn't a good running back coach. Our running back sucked under his tutelage. Like, somebody tell me otherwise. This is nothing personal. If he kicked ass, I would have said he was amazing. He didn't. Our position group didn't. They were always injured. They not never, but they rarely made big plays. It's nothing personal, but I'm also not going to kiss ass because he was a Sooner. He wasn't good at his job. He wasn't OU good at his job. And I think that's where I'm going to put a pin in it. He's on my top 10 list because he was a phenomenal running back while here, but let's not act like he did a great job. If we're going to talk about the running back position in the spring game, to me, I think the position is going to play substantially better this year because their coach is going to know how to interact and get the best out of them. We'll see. That's yet to be seen, but that's my opinion.
Man, I'm gonna go hit number 8 and then pass it back because we kind of flip-flopped a few of these guys. My 8, as I told you, Kennedy at 10. I got Parker at 9. I got Joe Mixon at 8. Right, okay. Him and Parker, I kind of just went back and forth, right? But you end up looking at Joe Mixon's overall impact. Obviously, maybe a little bit of recency bias too. Maybe if I saw Damon Parker play 10 years ago, it might be, more him on the mind, if you will. But I think Joe Mixon, I think back to the Texas Tech game. I think to some of the impactful moments that he had, on various road games, how much he meant to that 2016 season, getting that season back on track. I mean, without him, and P. Ryan, but without Mixon, that 16 team just does not have the weapons. A lot of people thought that team would have contended in the 14 playoff had they made it. Defense always the wild card with them, but they were on a roll. Towards the end of the year. But 2,000 plus rushing yards, 894 receiving yards, 17 total touchdowns, 1,200 all-purpose yards. in 2016, and he's had NFL success. He's been
Yeah, for
very
sure.
consistent, in the pros, and also just a massive Mac Dre fan. Loves Mac Dre. I
What you
was
know about Mac Dre? You don't know nothing about no Mac Dre.
STUPID when we go to there we go. Yeah, you're a Bay Area guy. You got
Probably.
dude.
I grew
Oh,
up
you
in the Mac Dre. I know rapper Mad Mac Dre. Before the Ivy Level
wow.
and the Dizzle mix.
Okay.
Rapper gone
Wow.
Mad Mac Dre. Wait, he didn't even sound the same. He sounded like a different guy. But
Really? Go for
this
it.
is why Mixon barely made my number 10. Mixon only had 1,000-yard season.
Mm-hmm.
Mixon has 4 games where he had less than 40 yards rushing. 4. All right. And then obviously he was, how many of those games was he Batman and how many of those games was he Robin? And then how many of those games was he ineffective and P. Ron kind of had to carry the boat. So, like I said, he snuck in as number 10 because you know who could have been my number 10? Kennedy Brooks. Kennedy Brooks' numbers almost double Mixon's numbers, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
But Mixon was so dynamic. So that's why I get it, right? The impact,
Sure.
the one-handed catch against Tech. I think he had 3 or 4 touchdowns against Tech that day. Crazy day. And he had some really big plays for us that really mattered. But I don't have him in front of Damon just because Damon did it 3 years with no talent. I mean, Damon didn't have a quarterback, bro. He didn't have a quarterback. Love it.
That's fair, man.
Right? Like Patrick Fletcher may have been the best quarterback on that team, and God rest his soul, that's my teammate too. Like seriously, DP did it without a lot of talent. But I definitely get it. Mixon was a guy who got it done. And like you said, dude had NFL talent. We all could see it, and he's clearly showed up on Sundays.
All right, D-Mac, hit us with number 7, man. Who you got?
Number 7. See, man, you know what I'm saying? This is where it gets hard. You're splitting hairs already. At number 7, you're already splitting hairs. By the way, if there's any OGs, we got 81 people in here. I don't want to hear nobody talking about what's my man name? Played 1 year and they said he was a better athlete than everybody we've ever had and the best running back of all time. Dude barely rushed for 1,000 yards. Y'all know who I'm talking. I forgot his name. What's his damn name? Hold on. He ain't in my top 10. He ain't in my top 20. He is the most overrated running back in OU history. I'm sorry. By the way, I'm probably going to people are going to lambaste. Oh, I'm going to tell y'all his name. Y'all know damn well who I'm talking about.
Who are we?
Buddy who had the ESPN special, the best that never was.
Oh, Marcus Dupree.
Man, Dupree. I don't want to hear nobody talking about at a place like the University of Oklahoma talking about Marcus damn Dupree in the top 10.
Yeah,
you know what it
no
is?
way.
Let me tell you what it is. It's people who were college aged or maybe a little older who saw his talent and have bias towards what they liked when they were that age. When I was at OU, I was like, oh, he looked good. But he didn't. He was a big, strong dude who could run fast and run you over. I don't think he's top 20.
Can I ask you this? Like,
yes.
If Adrian only played 1 year, is Adrian's
No.
just give Adrian just the freshman year, which is basically what Dupree had, right? It was just like the one big season.
1,400 yards total, 1,900 in 1 year, and didn't start for 3 games. That's apples and doorknobs. Okay. No, I don't want to do that. Dupree had 1,400 in his career, and AD had 1,900 and didn't effectively played a half a game the first 3 games of the season. AD would have been the first sophomore ever to do 2,000. It's not the same.
Okay, there you go. Yeah,
it's not the same.
Awesome.
Not the same.
All right, so hit us with number 7. Let's go.
Is it my turn for number 7?
Yeah,
and I know I get people get hold on one second. People get mad at me for Dupree. I get it, but like there were big.
That's a hot take.
When he was running fast, he was a big dude, but he wasn't in traffic. No, he wasn't. He was the man. He was, but he's not top 10 at OU.
Mm-hmm.
Whose spot is he taking in the top 10 based upon stats, impact, and games and all that good stuff? Name whose spot he's taking. Name whose spot he's taking in the top 15. Because in the history of OU, I just want to let you guys know. Hold on. I'm going to let you guys know how many yards he rushed for. Where is he? Marcus Dupree. Hold on, y'all. Let me tell you. Hold on. I'm looking at it right now. He's not in the top 20 in rushing in OU history.
I think every one of these guys is at least going to be top 15 statistically. That's just the prerequisite. If you're going top 10, like you got to
And
have production.
it blows my mind how many people talk about him. And do you know where he is? Do you know what his total stats at OU were? Do you know his total stats
Well,
at
what were
OU?
his final total rushing and receiving yards?
1,200 yards. Dupree rushed for 1,200 yards. And since I've been at OU to yesterday, people talk about Dupree. Yes, and the best type of ability is availability. I'm just saying, like, I'm like at a school like OU with the running backs we've had, people act like what big game did he like kill it in?
The Arizona State, that bowl game that they had.
He killed it that game. He killed it that game. He did kill it that game. He did kill it that game. Anyway, here we go.
Yeah.
I just need to put that out there.
Fair enough.
It drives me crazy when people say like he's better. No, he's not, dude. Rushed for 1,200 yards in 2 seasons. No,
I
he's
think
not.
a big chunk of it is at that time you didn't see running backs who looked like that. Now there been a dime a dozen. Your ADs, Leonard Fournette, your guys. I think that was what it was.
Barry. He played at the same time as a guy by the name of Bo Jackson and a guy who went to Georgia who won a national championship as a freshman. Like he played in an era of some dudes. Georgia's best running back all time, who got like 8 draft picks. Like I think the Dallas Cowboys traded him to Minnesota or something.
Herschel Walker.
Yeah.
Next to the SGA trade for the Clippers and Thunder, it might be the second best trade of all time.
So I'm like, Dupree played in an era with Bo Jackson, bro, is widely known as the best athlete in all sports.
Yeah.
Anyway. I love me some Dupree. I think he's a dude. I love his story, but he don't get to be in the top 15 at OU. OU's running back pedigree is too high to have a dude with 1,200 yards and didn't play in any championship style games to be considered for the top 15. That's my opinion.
And Jimmy's right. Had he listened to Switzer, we'll kind of end it right there. Had he listened to Switzer and been able to be consistent, develop the discipline, maybe he is top 3. But the reality is he's not right now. And I'm actually maybe a bigger fan than you are. Who knows? But he just didn't produce. And this is about production.
Let me say this. I had the honor of watching his highlights because we had access to unlimited highlights, and they were all of about 9 minutes. In 9 minutes, his highlights were over. I was like, okay, I'm just letting you know. Like, I'm not, again, Mackie hating. I'm not hating.
A little bit.
Not hating. I'm not hating. His highlights were 9 minutes. That's how long it was. You watch Pruitt and Overstreet. Billy Sims is like 37 minutes. They had a 37-minute cut up of Billy Sims.
That's crazy.
Right? Anyway, let me stop. Yeah. And now if we said the most talented, then I'm like top 3. Got you. But in terms of like what they did with this on the helmet, he's not in the top 15. Anyway, my number 7. Good friend of mine, super proud of what he was able to accomplish in his years. And again, let's just talk production, right? When you look at production and what this guy was able to produce, this is the number 7 running back, 3,700 rushing yards, 3,700. All right. 43 touchdowns and a record of 6 rushing touchdowns against Texas. Oh, by the way, he had an additional 1,200 receiving yards. And he made number 7. None other than my running back during my years, my little bro, who I still talk to about once a month. Like, that's number 7-esque at a school and a university like Oklahoma. Give me Quentin Griffin. That's my number 7 running back. Somebody say something. Somebody say something. I want to hear you guys say something. Go ahead, B.
Man, I actually ended up with the same number 7, D-Mac.
Wow.
So I totally am with you. I'm curious to see I think we're going to have a lot of the same names. I think we're going to end up just kind of maybe placing them a little different. But to me, you're right. To be in the top 7, top 5, you got to have big time performances. Obviously, the numbers have to stack up, but you got to be memorable. man. You have to have had games that mattered. The 6 touchdown performance against Texas, right? And then him later in '02 going for what, 248 against Texas,
Yes.
right? Was a big piece of why they won that game. That little delayed draw, fans, if you remember that, OU came out with that wrinkle in '02, right? So just that little kind of delay on the give that they hadn't shown a lot that whole season. And Quentin tore him a new one, right? Helped Hibble have time to get into a rhythm. And you talk about explosiveness, man. Had he been like 2 inches taller, his explosiveness would have translated a little more into the pros, right? Being, what was he, 5'6", like a true 5'6", or was he like 5'5", but they gave him
5'6". But here's the thing. Again, and those of you guys that are old enough to know this. Quinn Griffin had the starting job at the Denver Broncos when they were running that outside zone. He just fumbled and he went for 100 yards. I want to say Quentin's second carry as the number one back, he took 67 yards to the house. He fumbled, and Quentin never fumbled at OU. And 2 consecutive games, I want to say the second game was against the Chiefs. He fumbles, and you just never see him again. Quentin would have had a really good NFL career too. He just got the fumbles in a time where he wasn't solidified as the guy. And, but anyway, Q, man, like to me, that's a strong 7. You know what I'm saying? Like that.
Yeah.
And by the way, I saw him squat 600. When you guys read the book, I tell you guys a story about us running 200s on the indoor during fall or during summer. It was during the end of summer. There's a dope story about Q that I tell in the book about something that he did that it was jaw dropping, that we all saw. Q was as humble as they come. He never wanted any. He didn't care about any of the lore or the glory. He wasn't chasing women, crazy stuff on campus. Q loved the team. He was strong as hell. He could bench 315. I don't know, 4 or 5 times. Short arms, short legs too, but cock diesel and humble team guy. By the way, he could block good. He was a good blocker, guy you could keep on the field at all times. We would put Seth in a lot my year just because Seth was a senior and Q was a true sophomore. But you watch Q 01, 02, he's a guy you could keep in every round because he'd step in there in the A gap and the B gap. And most of these guys ahead of him, there's only a few ahead of him that are also national champions.
Yeah, man. I mean, when you watch the film, a lot of guys get compared to Barry Sanders, but in terms of the speed, the quickness, and the balance, he might be, to me, in terms of like you're talking body type, agility, and then speed out of the cuts, that jump cut, he might have been kind of the most underrated, closest version of a Barry Sanders that we've seen in the college game in the last 20, 25 years, right? Especially when you're talking short backs, which short successful backs, it's a shorter list than we realize. Guys below 5'9", right? 5'9" seems to be about the cutoff, right? And really you like those guys to be about 5'10", 5'11". They have more advantage in the pass game, which for a guy who was not very tall, one of the best pass catching backs at OU of all time. I think for a while held the record for most receptions, if I'm not, and that's the kind of player in a list like this, that is the kind of player that's going to be number 7, right?
Do you know how many catches Q has?
How many? Give it to me.
Can I
guess? Can I guess?
Take a guess.
I feel like I know it. 163?
Oh, wow. Okay, you were close. Yeah. By the way, I caught 50 balls. I only played 2 years.
Okay.
Right, people are always surprised that I caught 55 balls as a freshman and a sophomore. Yeah, I would have caught 100 balls if I played all 4 years. Q got 146 balls.
146. Okay, that's a lot.
Dude. Now, I'd say 50 of those were shuttle pass where he literally just turned around and we tossed the ball to him.
Oh, sure.
It's like a handoff. But Q got 146 balls for 1,200 yards.
Man.
And people are telling me about Marcus Dupree. Q had more receiving yards than Marcus Dupree had total yards. Like, what are we talking about? Talking about?
And
anyway,
man, yeah, and you did it in a big game. The lone touchdown against FSU. Like But people talk about that. He had a hole to run through, man, but he ran through the trash. He got it in the end zone. And if he doesn't score right there, who knows?
By the
What was?
way, he
Go
bends
ahead.
back. Everyone talks about that. We ran 34. We ran 34 power. God dang, how do we call it? Blue. It was just blue 34 because it's a zone. Yeah, we didn't. It wasn't called power. It's called blue 34 and green 35. We call it blue 34. He gets the ball. If you look at it, it looks like he's running like a dive. No, that's his eyes. The play is designed to go off
Really?
tackle. He sticks his foot in the ground because the linebackers pursue. That's
Wow.
why he trots in. That's vision. That wasn't drawn up like now. Granted, it's a zone blocking, so man on a man. But that backer runs out of there. Q sees it, he sticks his foot in the ground, and he goes right into the A gap. Touchdown.
Man, did you guys, that this is we got time to get into the weeds a little bit. We're just talking backs. What was the dynamic between like a him and a Ronaldo Works, right? Because I remember some of the talk at the time, what the fans would say and maybe you heard some of this too, that Q was, the consistency guy, but Works at the end of the day, he's the guy who looks the part, explosive. What were your thoughts on that discussion?
Yeah, Works came in and was kind of a dynamo his first game. He has a play where like they're trying to stop. I think it's UTEP. I don't remember who were playing in that game, but like Ronaldo forces himself in for a run. He has a nice 70-yard run, and he's 6'1", 215. He's got the pipes, right, in terms of biceps and the calves banging. Q's 5'6". His jersey looks baggy. Q wanted his stuff to be loose. Like, bro, you look trash. Q, you gotta. I'm saying we gotta get that together, my G. Q didn't care. By the way, great comp Barry Sanders in terms of the style. He looked like Barry. If you saw some of the toilet bowls, Q did Barry Sanders esque things in those toilet bowls his redshirt year or until he came up against Mizzou. But yeah, there was a thing. That Ronaldo thing was a thing. There was probably a 3 to 4 game period during that season where there were people inside the program jockeying for Ronaldo to get Q reps. And then Q just, well, really, OU Texas kind of shut everybody up. And then Q got better again in 01. And then
Yeah.
Q had a killer senior year. His senior year, again, he had another year but Ronaldo was always a really good 1B, And in fact, let me see how many yards Ronaldo had. I wonder if Ronaldo had more yards in his career than Marcus Dupree. How do we feel about that? Let me just see. Let's just
Man,
check it.
let me I'm gonna guess on I'm trying to think. He played from what, 2000 to 03? Because he
Yeah,
wasn't there in 04.
yeah.
Let's see. I bet Ronaldo had 2,000 career yards.
Ronaldo had 1,948
There
yards from
you go.
scrimmage.
2,000. Yeah, there you go.
And
Yeah.
Ronaldo averaged 5 yards a carry, 21 touchdowns. 23 touchdowns. By the way, you know how many touchdowns Dupree scored in his career?
Let me guess.
15.
Go. Oh, 15? 15?
Man, what are we doing? Hey, guys, what are we doing? We're going to say at OU, a dude with 1,200 yards
Career.
and 15 tugs is top 10 at our university? That's like me being top 10. Mackey's top 10. Not top 30. If I played 4 years, put my ass in there. But nah,
Man.
Dupree's not top 10, guys. We got to stop.
Man, love it. Love kind of the stories also coming out of this, man. I'll go number 6. Since both had Q at 7, maybe our number 6 is the same. Number 6, I'm going with the guy who people think we slandered at the top of the show. I'm going with a player who, when he came to OU out of the Nevada area, was big time, top shelf recruit, ends up finishing with the most touchdowns in OU history, right? Most points scored in total, right? He was a part of those 07, 08, even the 2010 Landry Jones team that had a pretty prolific offense, had your Broyles and guys of that ilk. So talking to Marco Murray was a
Wow.
player. Yeah, he ends up with 3,685 yards rushing, almost 1,500 receiving yards. And this, you talk about Dupree's 15, 64 total touchdowns.
Yeah.
But yeah. And then average 6 yards per carry. Man, all of those backs in that era were all good for 6 yards every time they touched the ball. And then multiple seasons, D-Mac, of 13 touchdowns or more.
Yep.
Probably what are him and Q the best pass catching backs
Yep.
of all time at
They
OU?
are. Well, the most talented or the most productive? Because
Let's say
Mixon,
productive. Yeah, about Mixon too. Yeah, Mixon just
Mixon.
didn't have the overall production, but was a guy who returned kicks, right? Could be a threat in the return game. He did a player too. I don't think he gets enough credit for this, and this maybe goes into his NFL game as well. He changed his style of play. If
Yes.
you watch him
Yes.
early on, you go Texas game like, oh, was it '07 or '08 where he hurdles the guy, gets down the sideline.
And then dives in. Oh,
Yeah, man, after the injuries, by
beautiful.
2010, he had started to morph himself into a little more of a patient power back. I think he saw that that's where his career was going to be in the NFL. He puts on a little more weight. For those who don't remember, MMA was starting to pop off at that time. He got involved with training kind of the MMA stuff just to help with the vision, the footwork, the endurance, just to cross train. I think that's just a little side nugget of a guy who cared about his body, cared about the craft, cared about being in elite peak physical condition, right? And anybody who's going to be nicknamed spray tan in a cell phone, you would imagine that they are going to be in peak physical condition. D-Mac, there
That's
is
not
no
why. That's
way.
not why. That's not why they call him spray tan. My cousin was there during those years, and he was roommates with the three Cali boys. My cousin was
Oh,
literally,
buddy.
and he called me like, "Bro," I said, "What happened?" He said, "You don't want to know." I said, "I want to know what happened." That ain't why they call him spray tan.
Oh man, that's hilarious. That is hilarious. But yeah, the Murray makes the top six. Maybe we save that story for Barry and Mac
Ah,
after dark on
all
that
right,
one.
right. I ain't
Yeah.
telling. I ain't hating on nobody. That ain't my business to tell. That's
There we
somebody
go.
else.
We'll keep the personal stuff out of there. D-Mac, who you got at number six, man?
You know what? I love that. I actually love that. And that's crazy that Murray. You had him at 6, right?
Six.
So my 6, and it's crazy because I'm looking at the stats. I think he's the most explosive running back OU's ever had. By the way, just by virtue of me saying that, who do you guys think I'm talking about? I'm curious in the chat. Tell me who you guys got. Who's the most explosive back OU has ever had? Who do you guys got? Because he's who I have. By the way, I think actually ever. All eras from Bud to Barry to AD's era to those guys. You think AD is the most explosive soonest for life? I actually don't. I didn't say powerful. I said explosive. And guys, I loved watching his highlight tapes when I was at OU. My number 6 back, by the way, AD is not number 6. My number 6 back is Pruitt. By the way, let me just throw some stats out, y'all. Y'all ready? I didn't know who this guy was. By the way, I love the Gaddis. Gaddis was a dude before he got injured. I love that. Guys, Pruitt was like watching Tyreek Hill. He just is like, see, I don't think Joe was the most explosive. Joe had the best COD. Little Joe,
Yes.
by the way, his highlight tape was, I would watch theirs for hours. But when you watched Pruitt's, he would get the ball. There's never anybody in the screen. He'd outrun any angle. If he got the ball past the backers, he would absolutely just leave everybody. And I'm talking about consistently. AD did have that. I think AD is the second most explosive running back that we've ever had. But when just explosion, not power and all the other things. In fact, I don't even think Pruitt had the best vision or great vision. He kind of didn't need to.
Not in the wishbone and not in yeah.
But gosh, Greg Pruitt, guys, let me just throw some numbers at you guys. Again, I wanted to be able to justify my answers. So first of all, Pruitt's number 12 all time, 2,800 total yards. You guys ready though? 7.6 yards a carry. What? In college? 7 point. By the way, second closest guy. You know who's second closest? Oh, it's actually Billy Sims. Same era. You know who's right after those guys? Kennedy Brooks. Kennedy
There
Brooks
you go, man.
having
Hey,
7 yards of carry, bro. Kennedy Brooks having 7
Kennedy.
yards of
Yeah.
carry.
I
That's
believe,
respect.
yeah.
But I've got Pruitt. Pruitt's a guy who was right there at the beginning of Switzer's era. In fact, I think he may have even got there before Switzer got there. But just watching him run with the ball, was unbelievable to me. Again, I don't know that you're talking about the best vision or the most complete back. I believe AD is the most complete back we've ever had, and Billy Sims close behind. Um, but that's just my opinion. Maybe I'm a little biased. You know what I'm saying? Billy Sims was my favorite running back, by the way, as a kid. I loved Billy Sims for the Detroit Lions. That's where I knew Billy Sims. I didn't know him so much from OU. But anyway, my number 6 back, it's Greg Pruitt. 7.6 yards per carry, 35 touchdowns, another 500 yards, and 3 TDs catching the ball, and just hell on wheels. You talk about a guy, I think the best comp for him is Tyreek Hill at running back.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, easily one of the most forgotten. And when I first went through this list, and not to kind of make this too dramatic, I got Pruitt at number 5 also.
Okay.
So you got him at number 6. I got him at number
Yep.
5. A guy who multi-time All-American.
Yep.
One of the guys who was just he split carries amongst the backs. They had other backs at the time, but
Yep.
Pruitt, even in that situation, was what was the top back, right? And also championship level football, was on
Yep.
teams winning at a high level, man. And essentially was a guy too who was about the right stuff. He was multi-time 1,000-yard seasons, right? He played in an offense that was prolific, that was incredibly productive, and he was the head of that production, man. He was the guy who without him, the engine that was the early days of the Sooners wishbone. Texas sort of was the team that put it together, but Oklahoma took it to that next level. Switzer and the players he recruited, that engine moved because of Pruitt. And you talked about explosiveness. To me, to kind of quantify that even a little bit more, in the wishbone, where there's the level of deception isn't there like it is today within offenses. What's coming. And OU said, we're just going to have the best athletes at every single position, so you have no chance. And Pruitt was the guy who, every single game that he laced them up, he was the most explosive, most athletic player on that field at the skill position for kind of those needs. And explosiveness to me is not necessarily a guy who can, cut back on you. A guy, to me, it's, can you stop? Can you start? And when you start, are you so far ahead of the pack in the very beginning that you are just leaving people in your dust? And Pruitt was that kind of guy who nobody was getting him, but beating him to a corner. He was going to beat your entire team. So I absolutely love that. DMAC, going to you. You had Pruitt at number 5. I'm going to go number 4 here
Well, I
now.
didn't do
Or
my
you
5.
do your 5. Do your 5. Yeah,
Yeah,
because we
man.
flipped. I went quick with that. Yeah, go ahead and do your 5, and then we'll go top 4.
Nah, no, look, we can jump right into it. I actually have DeMarco at number 5.
Oh, there you go. Perfect.
It's crazy though, because again, when you look at the top 5, it's like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it feels disrespectful. Dude is the all-time touchdown leader at OU. He's probably the difference in a national championship if we don't have him return a stupid kickoff in the last game of the season beforehand.
Yeah.
I love what you said about what he did to reinvent himself when he came to OU. Do you remember? Or you were young. The comp. Those of us what year did you guys were at high school? B.
09.
Oh, so that's your era. So you
Yeah.
guys are around the same age. When he came into OU, he was talked about as Reggie Bush 2.0. In his freshman
wow.
year, dude, COD was crazy. He had a game against Baylor where he shook like 3 dudes in the hole, hopped up out of the hole, and took it like 50. I mean, just an absolute phenom in terms of his ability to change direction and really be kind of a utility style back. And then, like you said, got hurt, reinvented himself, and really became a downhill runner. Really focused on his second level speed, where once he gets through the first part of traffic, he could go. And then obviously always was a phenomenal pass catcher. Just he's a guy who probably could have played receiver too. I've got him at 5, and I'm looking at my 5 ahead of him. Yeah, yeah. The 5 ahead of him deserved to be well, really the 4 ahead of him.
Yeah.
The 4 ahead of him deserved to be ahead of him. But I've got DeMarco Murray, all-time touchdown leader, all-time receptions for a running back leader, as my number 5 running back since Barry Switzer.
Absolutely love it, man. Yeah, now we are getting into guys who are talking, we're talking college football Hall of Fame at this point now, right? That is what makes the position so highly respected, at a place like OU where your top 5 backs aren't just like really good players. Show me any other team's top 5 running backs. Let's go top 6, top 7. Every one of these guys has a claim to be college football royalty in terms of like Hall of Fame level, especially like top 4, top 5 with some of the names we're going to see. But DMAC, I'll go ahead and go number 4, and hopefully I'm not stealing in any thunder at this point. But a player who was iconic during the Switzer era, a player who changed the type of cleats that players were wearing, a guy who was all what was not all flash, but had flashiness to his game. Was a guy who was super cool for the times, and a player who produced. Right, he produced in the return game. He produced running the ball. He produced catching the ball. I'm going Little Joe Washington at number 4. Carried the ball about 15 times per game, averaged 6.1 yards in an era when you played in the phone booth, 6.1 yards per carry. Set Oklahoma's all-time rushing record with almost 4,000 yards from 72 to 1975, DMAC. 53 career touchdowns, and was the 1974 NCAA football player of the year in the silver shoes, man. I mean, you can't beat that. Bob Stoops talks about he was his favorite player when Stoops was watching Oklahoma back in the day. To me, Little Joe kind of rounds out the top 4 in terms of my ranking. Who do you have?
I'm just gonna double down. I've got Joe at 4. I think the difference between him and the top 3 are the number of ways they could beat you, and that takes nothing away from his ability to literally shake 5 folks within a 1-yard radius. The fact of the matter is, on 4th and 2, if it was him in the middle linebacker in a hole and there was nowhere around for him to go, he wasn't going to be able to run through that tackle. But man, the absolute most exciting highlight tape I've ever seen at OU was Joe Washington's. It was really cool when we go into the Switzer Center that we had these dark rooms with Gatorades in the back and leather couches. And back then they still had the remotes with the cord attached to it. So like you could just take a VCR deal and the greats, they had their highlight tapes. By the way, I'm actually not making fun. And I know people are going to say I bring it, but like Marcus Dupree's was 9 minutes. And to provide, no, I'm serious. I'm serious. And Joe Washington's was like 36 minutes. Like for real. Like I'm actually being honest. If I was to go and pick out Joe Washington's and put it in, and I could just I could watch the same play 10 times, half a cut up, the whole thing, rewind it back. You literally could watch his tape all day. How amazing it was. Like to see some of the things he did, of course, coming out with the silver shoes.
Sure.
Absolutely loved the heart. By the way, he was a physical guy, and word on the street, he was like a 4.71 dude. I don't know if a lot of people know that. They said Joe Washington was like a 4.7. That's crazy to me.
Wow.
To be that little, but they said he could run sideways just as fast as he could run going straight ahead, right? And so, and I don't know how true that is. I never saw his clock time, but I tell you this, he was never the fastest. I think he was always the slowest running back his years. And if I remember correctly, yes, guys, if you go back and see what he ran his 40, and he was not a blazer. He was just one of those guys. By the way, Jerry Rice ran 4.74. So 4.73, something like that, right? So number 4, Joe Washington, my favorite highlights to watch. Although he's not my favorite anymore, the highlights that I would have liked the most came to OU the year after I left. So I never watched his highlight tapes while I was in the film room watching tapes of the guys. But yeah, number 4, Joe Washington, great pick.
Yeah,
Now,
man.
who do you got on number
Yeah.
3, bro? Now
Do
you
you
go
want me to
first.
go first on number 3? Okay, I'll
Yeah.
go first. Let me say something to your point on the speed. And man, I wish I could think of this guy's YouTube channel, but he just did a fantastic breakdown the other day. And this is so when you're talking like exercise and sports science, there's like a level to the math and to the nuts and bolts that we just never get into because for most folks it's just too boring. It's like it's too uninteresting. There is no flash. It's like you might appreciate it because you're a math guy, but it's just angles and it is it's times, it's numbers. But there was a channel that broke down. I actually did a paper on it in college, but there is a channel that broke down speed and why you can have a Jerry Rice who is a 4.7 and why you can have a Joe Washington who's a 4.7 be more productive than an Xavier Worthy who's a 4.27, right? And how is that possible? And I know we're kind of deviating a little bit, but it is because most sports are not played in straight lines. Almost no field sport is played in a straight line. You play it in circles and semicircles. We use the term in football, you talk about all the time, bananaing to the hole, right?
Yeah.
All sports are played that way. That is why you can actually have guys, and they've studied this at great length, and why a lot of drills that teams run involve like the L drill is an example where you're trying to cut it off, but when you actually look at the angle that you take in an L drill, it's a rounded angle. It's not a perfectly straight line. So you are timing how fast can somebody cut that distance, right? And when you look at great players, what they do it isn't necessarily that they're really fast. It is that you can have a 4.7 and a 4.2 guy or 4.3 guy get to the same spot because the mental cognition is better on the 4.7. The ability to see and know that if I start here and I cut this circle here, I'm going to meet him at that same point.
I got you. That makes perfect
So
sense.
so regardless, so because of that, guys like Jerry Rice leveraged that. When you watch him play, he understood the art of the banana shape that is giving yourself leverage, right? How far inside do I really have to be to make this guy play me a certain way? Or for Joe, what's the angle that I have to take? How long do I have to wait? His processing power was so good that he could not be the fastest guy in a straight line. You watch a football game, almost no straight lines. Everything is run in a banana shape. So just something to think about, right?
Uh,
As we move on to number 3.
I love that, B. Let me say this, and people will probably
Go
want to
for
hear
it.
it. I was 1 degree of separation from that era of football by a gentleman by the name of Merv Johnson. And my first year at OU, I had never really interacted with him. I knew who he was. I heard he was a coach on Switzer staffs and things of that nature. My second year, I got to spend a lot of time with Merv. And Merv was a guy, a lot of people thought he was awkward. Mind you, even
I've
in
heard that a little bit just from other people.
Merv is the man. Listen, Merv told the best stories that I ever knew. I think I told this on one of our very first pods. True story. Jay Hunt and I are redshirt freshmen. Jay used to drive a Honda Accord. One day we're driving down Lindsay, and we're going to spot like Chautauqua or something. I forgot the name of the street.
Okay.
And Jay's like, hey, I think that's Merv. And Merv's eating a banana. And we're driving on Lindsay, and he's driving wherever the hell he's driving, and he's at a stop sign. And we stop at the light, and he litters. He drops the banana out the window. Jay Hunt looks at me like, bro, did you see that? And I said, no, I see. I said, man, he a grown man too. Let that man leave. He said, hell no, Coach litter. If we would have got caught litter, we got to run stadiums. And it was just hella funny to me to be like, damn, Jay Hunt, you telling on this man. Like this man. mind his business. Just because that man, I say it's biodegradable, man. He fertilized in the road. No, but Merv is the one who said, he said, guys, listen, let me tell you. In fact, I was watching a Joe Washington highlight, and Merv was the guy who said, Mackey, he was a 4.7 guy. I was like, what? He's like, Mackey, he was a 4.7 guy. And this is the era where Barry's going into Texas, going into other states, and going to get what other coaches we all know, right? OU was going out there and going and getting the melanated boys. Other schools weren't in the habit of doing that just yet, and so we were stacked. And imagine being probably the smallest, which I would say he was the smallest and the slowest, and he was still the man. You feel me? Like how crazy were those scrimmages that he was in? When you're the smallest and the slowest and the smallest stature, he was out there killing them boys. So yeah, man, Joe Washington, and I developed a really good relationship with Merv because once I got hurt, I had to spend a lot of time rehabbing. And it just gave me an opportunity to really develop close-knit relationships with some of the people you generally don't get to see as much if you're practicing in that film and doing the stuff you need to do. And I got hurt. Remember, I came in hurt. Yep. So my first year, I spent a ton of time with the strength staff, a ton of time with the training staff, getting my knee right because I came in with a torn ACL. And then, of course, after the concussions, second game of my junior year, same thing.
Man. Yeah, that is fascinating. I've heard some similar things just from people who came across Merv. That's really cool, man. Awesome. Let's round this thing out, man. Top 3 OU backs of all time. I think at this point, for those of you who have watched the video, you probably know where we're going with this 3. We'll see about order, right? We'll see where guys stack up. I want you guys to guess, though, as I start to read these numbers off. Number 3, running back, history of Oklahoma. I'm going to leave one of the stats out because it'll be a dead giveaway, so I'm going to leave that one out. But finished career as OU's all-time leading rusher, right? Ranks 4th in OU history with 49 rushing touchdowns, right? 5th with 685 carries and 6th with 4,443 all-purpose yards, tied for 2nd in school history with 6 games of at least 200 yards rushing, and 7th with 15 games of at least 100 yards rushing. And I am seeing it in the comments. Also, D-Mac holds the NCAA single game rushing record against lowly Kansas on a rainy, gloomy, bummy team. 427 yards in 2014 was easily the highlight of that season. None other than SP or Samaje Perine, guy who still has maintained his footing in the league, right? Never became a superstar, was really a Burrow pass away from helping a team keep a drive alive in a Super Bowl, right? He has had some impactful plays at times, was a part of the great 1-2 punch with him and Joe. And I'll have a question about that here in a little bit. But give me number 3, Samaje Perine. D-Mac, who you got? And then hit us with number 2.
Yeah, I got Perine at 3. You gave it away with the first stat, bro. All-time leading rusher. That's Samaje. For those who know, he broke AD's record. But I think that's absolutely correct. No, especially for a college running back, no flaws in this game. When you're talking about what they were able to do as a college player, he could catch the ball, he could run in traffic. He had plenty of 30, 40, 50, 60, 70-yard TDs. There were plenty of games where he carried the offense on his back. There were games in those years where Samaje, especially before the 16, 17 baked teams where like they were really explosive, there were times where we weren't great throwing the ball. And Samaje would tote that thing and lead us on to victory. The sheer stats, the sheer records, how many people did he just grown man in the hole, just bounce off of him and just topple over as he kept trucking on. I mean, there's games where 2 and 3 and 4 people in the same play were flying like you're playing old school Street Fighter, right? And as he's running for TDs, the guy, man, he definitely has earned the reputation of being one of the all time. I wouldn't hate the person who said he is 1C.
Yeah, is
The
there an
one thing,
argument for him being number one?
well, here's the argument against him for me is he was a tandem.
Mhm.
There were games where Mixon was the guy, and again, Texas Tech. That game, Mixon was the best offensive player at OU, not named Baker Mayfield, right? And so, man, I think the only knock against him was he was in a tandem and he wasn't explosive, meaning if he ever got to a point where we were in a big time game, he could get caught. And there were games where he did get caught. And that's no knock because Lord knows he was fast enough, plenty. But definitely a guy who has the numbers, the impact. By the way, took us to our closest playoff win since the playoff era has started. We should have won that damn game and been playing for a natty. Those guys did what they needed to do. By the way, he made what was the middle backer for Georgia? Still plays for he plays for the Baltimore Ravens now. What's his name, guys? What's his name? What's that guy's name? He, by the way, one of the best middle backers in the league right now. He's probably the best Mike, if not top 3 Mikes in the league. Samaje, grown man his ass. God dang it, what's his name? Georgia? Nah, not Dean. Roquan, there it is. My man. Cowboys got it. Roquan Smith. Grown man, that boy in the first half. And Roquan is literally a Hall of Fame caliber linebacker if they can get themselves to a Super Bowl, especially. But I got Samaje at 3. Like you said, 4,100 yards, 6 yards a carry, 51 touchdowns, 700 yards receiving on 40 catches, 6 yards a carry on the pass, 6 yards a carry on the run. Some of the best offenses in Oklahoma history. And there were many games where he was the most consistent, the most physical, really the best player on that offense. Obviously, side by side with Bake, but really fun to see him play. Definitely deserving number 3.
Man, all right, D-Mac. So before I did see somebody kind of bring up who didn't see at the top of the show, talking about Kennedy Brooks, because I got the stats pulled up here, and you see some of the names that didn't make it, a name before we get to these final top 2 that was outside the Switzer era that sits at number 4 in career rushing yards, Steve Owens. I saw his name thrown in here, but he was a 1967, so a little bit before
Yeah,
this time.
He's not Switzer era.
Yeah, but man, you go to Kennedy Brooks, it's just crazy how much he does stack up statistically, right? He's above guys like Greg Pruitt in rushing yards, above guys like a Mike Gaddis, like a Jamel Hollywood quarterback, but like a Lydell Carr, James Allen, Keywan.
By the way, James Allen was my first off. I'm a James Allen. Oh, bro, James Allen was cold. A little bit before my day. He's my high school years. James Allen was a dude. He was on those Gibbs teams. I love James Allen. He was my number 11.
Yeah, so you oh wow. Okay. So he was he came to my mind at Kennedy. It was really a battle for me on that top 10 between like Kennedy Brooks. I thought about Keywan for a little bit because he had that first season, broke the rushing record, but he just wasn't impactful in the way that you need to be impactful as an OU back. James Allen for sure. A guy underrated, Chris Brown, right? Who was kind of the 1-2 punch for Murray a little bit. He ends up almost 3,000 rushing yards, D-Mac.
Stats lie sometimes.
Okay, there you go. But you look at the top 10 in stats, pretty much mirroring our top 10 in terms of the names, not necessarily same order or same impact, but a lot of the guys we've brought up, which brings us to the top 2, D-Mac. I'll introduce 2 first. I'll let you do your number 1 guy, and then we'll see. I'm curious. My number 2, Adrian Peterson. And I know that may come as a shock to some, but I have an argument for it. Part of the argument was availability, right? And these are the very few negatives in Adrian's time at Oklahoma. Was that those last couple years there were some injuries there that kept him out, but if you remember, he works back to get into the big game against Boise State, which they ultimately end up losing. But DMAC, a freshman season that stands alone as probably one of the greatest, if not the greatest, freshman running back seasons of all time. 1,925 yards. He was the moment he touched the ball, right? Well, we talk about, the guys on these current OU teams who, we see a glimpse here, we see a glimmer there. Maybe if he just gets a little more seasoning, he'll be there. There was none of that for the young Sooner fans who didn't get to see AD play. I think I was about 13 or 14 when I got to see him. 14, I was 14, just turned 14, seeing DMAC or seeing Adrian play in that first OU Texas game in 2004, and just the grown manness he appeared to have for the college game. Right, the run that I always think of is against Texas. They're at the goal line. This is the 12-0 game, right? The play that they have where he's at the goal line. I want to say it's third down, and they hand the ball to Adrian. He goes around the outside and finally tackled, but was a shoestring tackle away from taking that thing almost 100 yards for a score. The explosiveness when they gave him the ball against Bowling Green. They gave him the ball against Oregon. They gave him the ball against, all these teams early on in the season, DMAC. He was not starting. You're right. He was not the starter. Kewan was the guy who started those games. But by the time they hit conference play and things got serious, one of Stoops' stories, which honestly, I'm actually going to put a wet blanket on this as well. The 80-pound dumbbells doing like the 40-inch box jump or whatever.
I dare you to say it was a lie. I dare you.
I don't think it was a lie. I actually think it's a little less impressive than what we think, actually. It's very impressive. I don't think it was a lie, though. I actually think I have athletes who hold like 45s and 50s who can do jumps onto boxes, right? To me, that's actually not that impressive. There are guys I see do more impressive things now. But for a high school athlete at that time, which is the context of the story when Stoops tells it, right? It's a high school AD at the high school gym doing something that other high schoolers are not doing, right? And the height of that box matters because sometimes all you're doing is just flexing your knees up to a little bit over hip height. And I mean, I got a lot of athletes that can do that, right? It's how far can you get up off the ground? And truth be told, I think box jumps are pretty worthless exercise anyway. I'm not a huge fan.
Wow.
So
Wow.
I think there's better exercises for producing force vertically into the ground. But if we want to talk about that, we'll save that for another time. But Adrian, he is my number 2. No championships, right? No.
That's a team award.
You're right. You're right. But it does have the Big 12 championship. That matters. That's not nothing. But when and the injuries, to me, those were the things that kept him, in my mind, from being number 1. DMAC, who you got at number 2?
I have a question for you first.
Go for it.
You're starting your football team. And coach says, hey, first position, running back. You get to pick any OU running back as your starting running back. Who you picking?
I'm gonna pick Adrian Peterson.
Listen, let me tell you what the hair splitting was for me. You ready? Remember I told you about these highlight tapes I watched?
Yeah.
I'm probably gonna hurt somebody's feelings on this one too. Man, I'm watching these highlight tapes, right? And I said, let me watch Billy Sims' highlight tape. Does anybody know anything about the greatest game ever played? OU Nebraska. Would you happen to know about that game, Barry?
I don't. Hit me with it.
7 fumbles.
Wow.
Not the offense. Billy.
Wow.
7. And by the way, Billy Billy Sims is my number 2. AD is my number 1. I ain't crazy. But I was actually watching Billy Sims film today, and he had this shoulder thing that he would do when guys were trying to tackle him. He would dip his shoulder so that they couldn't grab him. It was actually really interesting to see. But what I noticed is I said, he's doing that because people are catching him. So they'd be running their double power. They're in the wishbone, and they'd run the bone, but sometimes they'd run double power. Play side back, full back, lead through the hole. He's coming across, into the B gap or into the 4 hole, 3 hole, to 3, 4, 5, 6 hole run, off tackle, off guard. And there's probably 4 plays on this one highlight tape where he gets to the outside and he's running down the sideline, and the people with the angle, he's not cutting the angle. They're coming to get him. And by the way, he learned this skill. If you go watch him, I'm telling you guys, you'll see like, wow, Mackey's not tripping. He would dip his shoulder like when people would lunge so that they couldn't grab it. So it would kind of like take away their ability to lunge, and it worked. It actually really worked, and he scored some TDs off of it. But you know what it said to me? That breakaway speed, that long speed, go turn on AD's tape. And them 50, 60 yarders, oh, let AD start doing this.
Yeah.
Or start doing this. And AD head start stop the tape, folks.
He did have some interesting quirks at top speed. Oh man. We call it like peacocking when he's like, that's
stop the tape. AD out of there. You not catching him. No, but I Billy did have put the ball on the turf a lot. He obviously he had bad. He didn't keep the ball high and tight all the time. But amazing player. He has the accolades. He probably could have won 2 Heismans, guys. Go look at the stats those 2 years. It's like, it's crazy what was going on in that era. But I literally asked myself a very simple question. I said, Mackey, if you're taking OU's best running back all time, what does he look like? And I'm like, he looks like Adrian Peterson. Mm-hmm. What people don't know, believe it or not, is AD could catch. Now, what AD struggled doing is back shoulder. So if you threw AD a ball at him or ahead of him, he's catching it. If you throw a ball where he's got to do like a receiver has to do, where you've got to rotate the hip, that's where he struggled a little bit. But AD had good hands. AD had great, I wouldn't say great, but AD had competent hands at the running back position. AD played in the perfect era for him from high school through the NFL. He was in the era where you wanted a running back who could dot the I. Put him in that dot. And then, of course, when he got to Minnesota, he started doing a lot of single back where they were in double tights or they had a sniffer and they were wham blocking and stuff. But no, I've got Billy Sims at number 2. You just talking about an incredible player. You talk about the karate kick. They called him the Karate Kick Kid. He would do that hurdle, and a lot of times, like, how that hurdle always end up on somebody's helmet. He wasn't hurdling. He wasn't hurdling. He was kicking people in the head. And you're literally splitting hairs when you talk about a Billy Sims and a AD. I think there's something to be said about availability. AD had that the shoulder one was a really bad one. There was no reason it needed to happen. He separated his shoulder, dived into the end zone. I want to say maybe even against Iowa State or some red team. I forgot who it would have been. But I've got Billy at 2. I've got AD at 1. If I say that, they're gonna get mad at me, so I'm not gonna say that. I don't want to make no. I think we done made friends tonight since the beginning when I was making fun of a certain player, who looks like a Lady Lee version of AD. Some of y'all favorite player all time at running back looks like a Lady Lee version of AD. A Great Value. Let me say that. I think everybody knows Great Value. Great Value is the Walmart brand, and the guy who some of you guys say is the best that never was looks like a Great Value version of Adrian Peterson. If you know, you know.
And it's if you stack them up like physically, body wise, like, and you start getting into like some of the nuances of what made each great, I do think there was a reason why Adrian what was a perfect balance. I think Dupree's legs were a little too long, right, for the position. I think that yeah, in this day of college football, where your close area quickness and that burst has to be great, right? AD his wasn't like Quentin Griffin, right?
No.
His COD in the short, but it was better because his limb length was, I mean, you're talking perfect. He had no issue being able to get low. He was he had some girth in his lower half. He was stacked up top, like shoulders, forearms, right? You want to talk about a guy with some of the strongest looking forearms you have ever seen on an athlete. Like he had that. He could handle his feet. When you watch him run, this is something so cool, man, with Adrian. You watch him run, and this is different than some, especially big backs. Actually, big backs tend to struggle with this more. Guys, go slow down the tape and zoom in at his feet from the start of the play to the end of the play. His heels will never hit the ground. He was so light on his feet and he played so well on his forefoot that is why he had so much spring for a guy who was that size, right? A lot of guys who are that size, D-Mac, it's almost like a piston. They got to have like some like they got to get the engine rolling a little bit. He was not that. Now, once he got it going in the open field, you weren't catching him, right? You talk about a guy who's 30 to 60 was probably better, was better than his, 0 to 30, right? His overall top speed. But because his feet were so strong, but because he had such great bounce, such spring in those feet, he was the guy who could also hit the hole, get you a quick 5, 6, 7 yards and be out. And I don't think there is a back physically in the history of college football, save Bo Jackson. But even with Bo, I didn't like the way Bo ran all the time. And Bo's style of running, his heels did hit the ground. And it was an injurious style of running. It's why he had the injuries that he did. It was the guys like that are so hamstring dominant, and AD was not hamstring dominant. AD ran like a light guy who weighed 220,
Yep.
but he ran like like your slender receiver, right? In terms of just the style, the gait, the way he would open up in the open field, how high. You want to talk about a guy too who, and his son does this also, a guy who has such great height on the knees, like when you're coaching like knee drive and track. AD, man, he knew where to get those knees to for him to maximize that speed, and his stride length, his knee drive, like all of it, man, was just so good. He was my number 2, but I, end up with Billy Sims at 1. I think it just depends on what you're looking for on what day. DMAC, Billy was on some more often dominant teams, but when you go to, and actually one of the stats that stood out that I think cannot be undersold, that I was looking at.
Can
Billy,
I tell you something real quick? Can I say
go
something
ahead,
real
go
quick?
ahead,
I
go
just pulled
ahead.
up a stat. You want to hear something crazy?
Give
Ain't
it
no
to
way
me.
this is ain't no way this is true. Guys, is this true? Adrian Peterson ran 10.33 in the 100-meter dash. They said he ran a 10.19 wind dated. AD was that fast?
His son might end up being faster.
It's stated. Okay. So he ran 10.19 stated. That means hand time. He ran
Yeah.
10.26 recorded at district. What? AD ran 10.2, bro? I didn't know that.
DMAC, his son is running 10.7 as an 8th grader.
What? By the way, AD ran 47 in the quarter. Yeah,
Yep.
bro. I'm taking AD all day and twice on Sunday against.
His
I love
son,
Billy Sims. Which
yeah,
one?
his son, AD
which
Jr.
one?
Adrian
Which one?
Peterson Jr. Oh, there's the other. There's multiple. This is the one who I just saw it the other day. Hold on, I'll tell you where he goes to school. Um, let's see, right here. Where's he at?
He ran 10.7 in 8th grade.
8th grade.
My
It's like a
fastest
month
time
ago.
ever.
Like a month
My
ago.
fastest time ever, and I didn't run as a senior, was 10.8.
Yeah, broke the middle school record.
Oh my
Well, I mean,
God.
hey, Gout's about to go break Usain Bolt's 100-meter
Oh
record in
yeah.
the next Olympics, dude. He's
Oh
gonna
yeah.
shatter it. Running 9.67 right now, under 20, the fastest under 20 time
Ever.
ever. Like, oh my gosh, man. So yeah, he in the finals, this is Adrian Peterson Jr., the finals of everybody's school record. His 4x1 team also broke the district record with a 43.82.
What
Wow,
high,
in the
I mean,
4x1. He
what
goes
city?
to
What city is he in?
this is in, I didn't even think to look at that. I'll tell you. Track and field. If you guys are on the chat, let us know. But it
I'll look it up.
is Coach Matthew. Let's see. Trying to find where he is going to school.
Baines Middle School
Okay.
it's in Ridge Point, part of the Ridge Point pipeline.
Got it.
Baines Middle School. What city is that nearby? Hey man, it's in Houston. Okay. Yeah, AD does have a place in Houston. I can't take Billy over AD. I just can't do it. Can't do it. I saw AD do some things that are unbelievable. And I just knew how hard he worked. I'm gonna keep it 100 with you guys. After the 04 team, he wasn't on very talented teams anymore. The 04 team was astronomically talented, and that team, like 10 dudes went off to the league.
Mm-hmm.
From that point on, and including J-Dub's season was over, right? And then AD was left with what was coming at him after that. AD was probably on some of the least talented Bob Stoops teams out there. Travis was like his top receiver. He had a year of Paul Thompson where PT was his Q. The kid obviously with the car dealership, we lost the quarterback and we lost the tackle, right? Yeah, man. He say he likes his barbecue better, but I gotta go AD number one, man. He was a man amongst the boys. And I'll say this, and I ain't telling my man's business too much, but I'll tell you this. Rumor has it, freshman, sophomore, junior, senior, or grad school, watch your lady when AD come in the room, because you might not leave with her. I'm just listen. I heard a rumor. I don't. All I'm telling you, and by the way, AD is not a pompous ego guy, chill, super kicking it. We kick back, we lay back. But that lady department, ladies was choosing on that brother. I'm just here to tell you, AD never. He didn't have a lot of competition in that arena either. AD could get it done. So, good dude. Me and AD have always had really good dialogue. He's always been really good. I think he's one of the top 3 or 4 players to ever come to the University of Oklahoma. He's at the Boz level. He's at the Baker Mayfield level. Is Baker the best quarterback ever at OU? We got to do top 10
quarterback.
We got to do
we'll
we
have
can't
to
talk.
do that. We'll have to do that. So let me ask you this: does Billy? And this was the other thing I didn't even think about. This was so obvious. Does Billy getting a Heisman Trophy, does that matter or put him in an ilk above AD, or do you not really count that so much?
Let me tell you why. I don't, because everyone knows AD deserved the Heisman his freshman year. They just weren't giving Heismans to freshmen at that time.
Yeah.
If that rule hadn't been a precedent that had not been broke, I think Johnny Manziel got it as a freshman maybe 3 or 4 years later, 4 or 5 years later, something like that. But at that time, you remember Tebow, they didn't want to give it to him as a sophomore. Yeah. Right? Like Tebow was the one who, as a sophomore, they felt he deserved the Heisman, and they wouldn't give it to Tebow as a Heisman. As a sophomore. So AD deserved the Heisman his freshman year. He there was never a freshman rush for as many yards as he did. Whoa. Oh, you are nice. You see, there you go. See, that's a troll right there. By the way, Landry might sneak in at number 10 in mine.
He might be a Kennedy Brooks, right? Just production.
If I was Kennedy Brooks, I'd be so mad at you for calling me a Landry Jones. if I was Kennedy Brooks, I would be so mad at man. Landry Jones used to make me want to pull the last 2 or 3 hairs in my head out of my head. Man, I used to be so what was it? Was it Tech or was it Colorado? Who was it we played? It was Texas Tech in Norman. We got our asses whooped. He threw like 4 picks. He had one with a ball just fell out of his. Oh man, Landry. Isn't he like the all-time passing receiver or leader in school history?
Yeah. All time. He's like 3rd all time in college football, which is just insane. It's like him.
No way. In the rankings.
Oh, yes.
I thought you were number 1. I thought you were
No.
Oh yeah, he's in
there. He just played. I mean, man, played 5 years. Right? It's been. I'm surprised though that nobody. I need to see the updated list because I bet you with all these like 6, 7, 8-year guys, like somebody's bound to have passed them by now. DMAC, wonderful stuff. Guys in the comments in the chat, let us know if you agree, disagree. Me and DMAC, a lot of.
You should tell him your 10.
Let's go 10 straight down. I'll go first. So for those of you who didn't make the early part of the show, I'm going to run you through my top 10 just real quick. Number 10 was Kennedy Brooks. Barely, he snuck in there. There was other names. Number 9, Damon Parker. Number 8, Joe Mixon. Number 7 was Quentin Griffin. Number 6, DeMarco Murray. Number 5, Greg Pruitt. Starting the top 4, Joe Washington at number 4. And then at number 3, Samaje Perine. Number 2, Adrian Peterson. And then at number 1, 1978 Heisman Trophy winner. Could have won it twice too. It was one of those guys. Billy, the Barbecue Man Sims. Rounding out number 1, and the Boomer, good guy. That's what it stinks, man. All the Gen Zers know him as the guy who yells Boomer at the Heisman Trophy ceremonies, so that they don't know the greatness there. So give us your top 10.
Yeah, and that's crazy because I knew Billy as number 20 for the Lions before Barry. My number 10 is Mixon sneaks in the back door at number 10. Number 9, I had to give some love and respect for Gaddis. I think Gaddis is a top 3 running back if he doesn't have a knee injury. Number 8, I got DP. DP's another guy. He's top 5 if he's in any other era. Number 7, I have Q, my running back. Held it down. Stats are ridiculous. Number 2, leading receiving running back at all times. Touchdown record against Texas, over 3,000 yards rushing. Let's see, 10, 9, 8, 7. At 6, I had Pruitt, most explosive running back, I believe. And by the way, someone said Pruitt ran 10.5. I didn't know AD was running 10.2, bro. That's bananas.
That's flying.
But Pruitt was amazing to watch. If you just watch his film, it's like, wow, he just leaves everybody in the dust. 5, I have DeMarco, touchdown leader in school history, probably one of the most versatile running backs. By the way, he's probably the best at delivering a block in the A gap. DeMarco would decleat guys. Backers blitzing in the A gap or crossing face, what we'd call it satellite. You're on one side of the quarterback and you got to cross his face to pick up a blocker the backside. DeMarco could decleat people. Like he was legit him when it comes to that. Top 4, pretty much the same, except we got the other 2 flip-flop. 4, I've got Washington. 3, I've got Perine. 2, I've got Sims. AD, in my opinion, is the best when it comes to running back. So you can't go wrong by picking Sims, especially knowing exactly what he was able to do as well.
So DMAC, last question before we get out here, because to me, this top 10 suggests that this just has to be the case. Is the 2016 backfield the greatest backfield in Oklahoma history? 2 top 10 backs? Or at the very least, is that the best 1-2 punch in the history of Oklahoma football?
Yes. Yes, P. Ryan and Joe Mixon, 100%. I will say, don't sleep on Billy Sims' backfield. I think you talk about that crew that they crewed up with. They had some boys in that backfield that I think a lot of people from the '70s era would say are up there. I think the Sermon, Kennedy, Brooks. Who was the third running back? There were three really good ones. It
Oh,
was
and
Sermon,
17 or
Sermon, Brooks, and was it Ramondre?
no, it wasn't Ramondre. Sermon, Brooks, Abdul Adams, my guy.
Oh, he took it 98 against
Dude,
Baylor. Remember that?
shout out to Abdul, man. He has been just a long time follower of my social media for years. He like follows and interacts with like everything. Shout out to Abdul. Even when he went to Syracuse, he was like, he got a hold of my stuff and he's like, hey man, I like what you're doing with that. I'm gonna keep following. Shout out to Abdul Adams. So just
Stevenson. Yeah,
yeah.
Stevenson as well.
He was a guy who I thought about, but just not enough impact long term. It's a season and career award, right? Because there are guys you could throw in who had good seasons.
No, Ramondre is not a top 10 running back at
No,
OU.
but is it
JUCO
top
guy.
20?
Yeah, he's top 20.
Hey, here is he above Dupree?
Yes, he is. He is production. Yes.
Is Chris Brown above
No.
Marcus Dupree? Okay.
No. And see, people think I'm hating. I'm telling the truth. I'm taking Ramondre Stevenson could run through trash. He could run you over. He had phenomenal vision. He was cat quick as a big dude. I'm taking Ramondre over. No, I'm not. I'm taking Ramondre as a running back today. Here we go. This is what everybody's gonna talk about. I'm taking Ramondre over Dupree. Dupree, if you give him a hole, he gonna cook. But if there's not a clear defined hole, I haven't seen one iota of film of him creating a hole without just beating people to the corner.
Yeah.
No. The way the game is played now, like you talked about angles, I'm taking Ramondre. By the way, Ramondre's played on Sundays for 6 years.
Yeah.
I'm taking Ramondre.
One more. Dupree or Roy Finch? Who you taking?
Come on, bro. See, don't disrespect. I'm not trying to disrespect Dupree. I just don't understand how everybody talks about him in the same vein as AD and Billy Sims. And he's not in that echelon. And if someone said I take Dupree over Stevenson, I wouldn't be like, you're wilding. But you can't say I'm wilding for taking Ramondre over him. Ramondre is a really good player. In my offense, I want Ramondre.
D-Mac, the boomers are gonna just hate on you.
They are
so much, man.
Listen, they were giving me grief about AD, bro. You're bugging. Like, I'm bugging. You're bugging. Dominic Whaley had a good little season.
He did.
I'm not taking him over. I'm not taking him over Dupree. I see, y'all trying to make me sound diabolical or irrational. Some of you guys are irrational because he's your favorite. Yeah. It's like me with Kobe Bryant. Kobe Bryant's my favorite basketball player, but he ain't better than Jordan. I ain't crazy, right? Dupree is not in 80s. He's not even close to 80 and Billy Sims and P. Ryan. The stats don't tell you. The teams don't tell you. The longevity don't tell you. The potential talent. Okay, I'm with that. But I don't see. Somebody tag me in a Twitter or Instagram post where he has a run where he runs through two people, he jukes somebody, he stiff arms somebody, he changes directions 2 or 3 times, and then scores a touchdown. Show me that play. And then, that's a good one, Durant. Rodney Anderson.
He was fringing my top 10. It was him or Brooks. They were actually the two.
He only had that one, but his best season, the 17 season.
Yeah.
That's a good one. I'm taking Rodney over Dupree. You're not taking Rodney over Dupree?
Oh, I would take Rodney over Dupree. I would take Rodney over maybe at number 8, like starting with Damon Parker. Everybody below 8, I'm taking Rodney over almost all the. Definitely Kennedy. Yes. To me, what got Kennedy over the hump was multiple seasons.
And his numbers.
Exactly. Top 10 in the numbers. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, yeah. But Rodney, the one season, 2017, he was the reason OU
2017.
made it to the playoff. Like he was the game he had against TCU. That's to me when I think of like the last great pass catching backs. That's what I think of. Like he had 2 snags against TCU
I
that
was at that
year.
game. I was at that game. Fun ass game. Yeah, guys, you can call me a hater, but you guys have the stats. Nothing backs up the Dupree love affair aside from you were there when he was playing and you had an affinity for him. For those of us who weren't there, we don't see it. I'm just being honest with you. At a school like OU, he cracks the top 20, but he's not 11 or 12 or 13. He's not. Maybe somewhere after that we can start discussing Dupree.
You put like Brennan Clay above Dupree.
He did have that one run. He did have that one run against OSU to win the game.
Yeah,
No. By the way, that's the other half of spray tan.
yeah, yeah. Had to bring up had to bring up Clay. Awesome, man. Awesome. Well, D
Yeah.
Mac, good. Hey, your Lakers, did they win tonight?
Of course, that's why you see my eyes doing this. That was a Laker game. We
Yeah,
won.
I didn't catch the
No,
end of it.
KD didn't play. We got the dub.
Okay.
Who are we doing next? And let me ask you guys, chat. What do you guys want to? Yeah, I just brought up the Abdul 99 against. I thought it was 98, but it was 99. You're right. 99
Yep.
against Baylor. Guys, what do you guys want to do next? Which one do you think is going to be the most controversy? What position group?
I think this one's pretty fairly straightforward. I think
Yeah,
most people
yeah.
agree. I think receiver will be tough.
It
I
will be.
think when we start going defensive positions, I think there's going to be so much love for those 80s defenses and some of those guys who people remember as just hard hitting. They got the nasty highlights, right? And you don't have maybe quite as much of it today. So some of the new school guys won't get the same amount of love. And I think that'll be kind of a factor. Um, I think almost anything defensively, quarterback will be interesting. I think quarterback's kind of an obvious one, but quarterback will be interesting. How much do we weigh leadership, intangibles, that kind of thing over championships, right? What does a championship push a Josh Heupel to? What does not having a championship keep
6.
Baker Mayfield at? Like, so where did they land? I think that will be interesting. QBs or linebackers, top 10 defensive line. Yeah, there's going to be a lot of love on the defensive side for the old guys. If you think they love Dupree, they love their Rod Schultz
Well,
and
wait a minute,
Brian
wait a
Bott.
minute. So wait a minute. Leroy Selman is the best football player at any position to ever play at OU. So like I'm not one of those ageism guys. Again, I'd watch the Selman brothers highlight tape. His tape's unbelievable. Leroy Selman's tape is unbelievable. I'm probably gonna get Bosworth hate. I'm gonna get Bosworth hate because I watched Rod Schultz and then I watched Bosworth and Dante Jones at the same time. And listen, Dante made just as many. I wouldn't say just as many. Dante made big time plays right next to the boss. And then you ask yourself, who had a better pro career?
Yeah.
So the backer position. By the way, my favorite Bob Stoops backer. If you ask me who, and I'm just going to kind of give this away, but if we said 1 year, Bob's era, which backer had the best season? You know, a good answer is Lofton. Lofton's 1 year got him to the NFL. Lofton started 1 year. But do you know whose 1 year, in my opinion, was the best? And people, he's a throwaway. Go back and watch Lance Mitchell's first year.
Lance, yeah.
Go watch Lance Mitchell's first year. By the way, Lance Mitchell was as physical as T. Marshall and as smart as Rocky Calmus. And athletically, he wasn't a Teddy or El Mitch athlete, but he was much more athletic. He's more athletic than Curtis Lofton, pre-injury. El Mitch's one season before the knee injury, I think it's the 03 year.
Yeah, it was 03 because he talked about not playing. Remember, we had him on the show. He talked about not playing in 03.
No, yeah, he didn't play in that Big 12 championship. I said, El Mitch, you got cooked. He said, "No, Mackie, I didn't play." I said, "Oh, you're right." L. Mitch's 1 year. So and that, he's a throwaway. I mean, he's a guy
Yeah.
people respect. Yeah, he was a damn good backer, but he's not a guy people talk about in the top 5. The backer position is gonna be crazy.
That will, because like the Eric Stryker, does he make? He's got to make the top 10, right? But he didn't really play backer.
He
He
kind of
was
did. He was a jack. He was a jack.
yeah, but like
Is he
yes,
top 10 though?
but is he
Is
top
Striker
10?
top 10 on?
I got
Listen,
to sit and look at the names.
is
You got to look at
Rufus
the names. Number.
Alexander? Yeah, bro. There's some dudes at
I think
backer who are like,
Rufus is going to end up being like a Kennedy Brooks. I thought when we got now, I want to kind of dig into that. But let's do backer next. Let's go defense.
are we doing Barry Switzer? Because if we do Barry Switzer, Rufus isn't top 10. Love Rufus to death.
If we do, oh sure, yeah. I guess I am
If we
thinking
do
like
Barry Switzer, Rufus, if like backer, we would have to do Bob Stoops era, or it's about to be crazy. Backer's crazy. By the way, D line is crazy. D line
Yeah.
is crazy.
Man, yeah, D line will be tough. Just because they had so many guys on so many teams. Like it. Let's. I want to do just a quick little glance. Man, I think backer is the one we do next chat. If you guys agree.
But are we doing Bob or are we doing Barry?
Now we'll go since Barry. Let's keep it consistent, man.
Dang,
I think that's like the last 50 years, right? Since what night? It's like since 1973, or we can even say since 75. That's the last 50 years.
Okay. Jordan Evans is not top 10. Stop playing Cowboys.
Oh my gosh.
Bob era, he might sniff the top 10. Jordan Evans is a stud. Jordan Evans is a stud, but he's not. BO is. Who said BO? Brian Asamoah. Stop it. Stop it.
Brian Asamoah.
like, watch this. If we do Barry Switzer for real, Tommy's like 5, I think.
Yeah, man.
Like Tommy's not top 2, and since Barry Switzer. And by the way, Tommy is my bro. But you know what's crazy about Tommy too? Go look at the stats. When you talk about stats, there's a lot of people that outstat Tommy. Tommy's stats are not like blow you away. Tommy made blow you away plays, and then Tommy was one of those guys that if you didn't have a game plan, he could wreck your whole shit. But like, yeah, Joe Bowden. Like, what are we doing? Backer? We're doing backer next?
Yeah, let's go backer. So I just asked, here we go. I just asked ChatGPT, who is the best linebacker at OU since 1975? No, number 1, you can guess it, Boz, right? Number 2, Teddy Lehman. They got Teddy Lehman at number 2. So
I love Teddy. Teddy ain't number 2.
Is Teddy going to be top 10 though? Yes. Right?
Oh,
Butkus winner. I think Butkus automatically kind of seals you in that regard. Number 3, they got Lofton, right? 155 tackles in a season. 2007 Big 12 Defensive Player of the Year. And then who they got in here. This is interesting. Will Kenneth Murray make the top 10?
No.
That's who ChatGPT got at number 4.
No,
he's
not. He's not even in the top 10. No, with all due respect, Stutzman's not in the top 10.
Yeah, ChatGPT is wild sometimes. Okay, let's do backer. Backer works. I'm down. We'll go since 1975. We'll keep it nice and tidy, man. Yeah, Rocky Kalmus gonna be another name. Rufus. Golly, man, there's so many guys. Who can forget Tom Wart, right?
Whoa, 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 whoa.
I'm just playing on that.
Whoa. Stutzman, that's a name worthy of spring.
Yeah.
Tom Wart, here we go. What's my man's name? I switched to tight end. That's what you're going to be saying.
Jaron Kanek. Jaron Kanek had 1 year.
Oh, man, box. Like Ryan Reynolds. That's a guy who, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You gotta like, dude. Listen, when you go back and look at backer, it's gonna be, I don't think Stutz is top 10. By the way, I was see who said that. Come on, Bishop. I was trying to keep that one in my back pocket. People don't know who the all-time leading tackler is at OU. Two-time All-American. By the way, y'all better go look up Jackie Ship's stats. You know, he used to tell us in our offseason, God damn it, Mackie, do you know I was a back-to-back All-American? Do you research who leads OU in tackles? He'll be like, Rocky, you gonna catch me? No,
Oh, that's hilarious.
Jackie
Oh,
Ship will
man.
let you know. Jackie Ship will let you know.
That's dope, man.
No, yeah. So look, I asked Claude because I use Claude.
Yeah.
I ain't gonna tell you the names because he's got some good names.
Yeah, ChatGPT. It's been watching too much Lincoln Riley.
By the way,
Like Curtis Bolton, Kenneth Murray, Brian Asamoah.
Now and that's no diss to K9.
Yeah, for sure.
But
Yeah.
it's the same thing as Dupree at OU linebacker. K9 is not top 10.
Listen, Travis Lewis, like he's he came. I don't think he's top 10, but like he's top 15.
He's top 10, Bob, for sure.
Oh, for sure. He might
And
be
so
top. No, because I would put like we're not doing Bob. I would put like Kalmus, Marshall, Lofton, Alexander, Ingram, all those guys ahead of
Ingram.
Ingram had 2005. Ingram had a phenomenal year.
That's my guy. You ain't gotta tell me. CI is my guy.
Yeah.
But I don't know that. Did Travis ever make All-American?
I think he did. He was freshman All-American for sure, I think.
Well, not freshman, but what did he make AA as?
I think he did. I think he did make. I think he was at least second team All-American one year.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah. This will be fun. Let's go back or next.
All right, sweet.
Hey guys, do me a favor. Go on Twitter, put your post. Actually, nah. Well, you guys can, but I'm gonna do my research. I like to come with stats.
Yeah.
Facts, and I like to think impact matters. Hell of a chat. You guys were a good time tonight.
Yeah, man.
By the way, I got beat up for Murray. Why people beat me up for just telling the truth about Murray? He wasn't a great running back coach. The stats, the seasons, the production, it backs it up. And you guys can hate all you want about Dupree. He's in my top. Dupree's in my top 24. If we said who's the best 24 running backs in OU history.
Oh my God. Have him right in between Alan Patrick and Brennan Clay.
Come on, bro.
Oh, man.
They gonna be on me. Bro, he got 1,200 yards. He had two. He said Brandon Clay and Roy Finch. The OGs. And I'm an OG. The triple OG's mad at me. Triple OG. Bro, they wanted to argue with me about AD. I was like, are we arguing? But like, what are we doing? What are we talking about?
Oh my God. That's bananas. All right, Sooner Nation, go check out the pod. Make sure to like, subscribe, do all that good stuff. As always, thank you for tuning in. We're gonna be back again. If you didn't see the spring stuff, we chatted about it at the top of the show. There wasn't a whole lot to go on, guys. It was a bunch of field level video, but we did the best we could to try and give you something. And I'm sure as the off season rolls along, we'll be back with more. But want to thank you for tuning in tonight. Make sure you follow the show, Barry and Mac SHW on X. We will see you soon.